What a year it's been for the Indiana Hoosiers, and they're not done yet. A college football playoff appearance, thanks to the expanded 12-team playoff, allow the Hoosiers to get in. Curt Cignetti has done an incredible job of getting his team to play at a high level, and now they find an opportunity to play for a national championship, which if you would have told somebody that maybe a few years ago, they would have definitely laughed in your face. 11-1, absolutely incredible performance by this team, and now they're looking to add another upset, another big win to their program's history by beating the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We're going to take a look at how they do that this year and how they're able to potentially pull off an upset on the road. Now, again, Indiana has been really fun to watch. It started early, beating FIU and Western Illinois didn't necessarily make anybody super excited or overly confident. But then you go to UCLA, you win 42-13. That's quite a statement for a team that is trying to rebuild something. Beating Charlotte obviously didn't do anything, but then the Maryland win definitely inspired some confidence. And then the absolute beatdown of Nebraska was really where they made their first statement. Obviously, losing Ohio State late in the year was frustrating, but they did not have a hangover game against Purdue. They beat them 66-0. So you've seen that this group, for the most part, I think has done a really good job of keeping a level head and finding ways to win football games in confident fashion. Now, they are 7.5-point underdogs as I'm recording this today, and that's going to be something they have to overcome, and there's some keys that will allow them to do that. The first one is going to be the turnover battle. These are two teams that are really good at keeping the football and not turning over, but also forcing turnovers by the other team. So, which team is going to do that? Do both of them take care of the football, or is one of them going to slip? Because I think that, if Indiana is not careful, Notre Dame is playing with a lot of confidence right now, and one turnover could be the difference in the game. But again, these are two teams that are really good at taking away the football and also taking care of the ball when they have it. They're second and fifth in turnover margin this year, and again, turnovers are going to play a big role in terms of how, if you get one, that might be enough. It's not going to be a ton, but if you get one, that could be enough. I think you have to get Curtis Rourke in rhythm. That has been something they've done all year. He's not necessarily been the guy that's going to throw for 300 plus yards every single game, but you need to make sure that he is playing with confidence. If he plays with confidence, Indiana's going to be in this game. That really goes for everybody, though. I think this is a team that's playing with a ton of confidence. They prepare really well, and it shows when they play in the game. You can tell that they have tough practices with how they execute on Saturdays, and that shouldn't be any different when they face each other. And when you look at what they've done so far this year, this is a group that has allowed Curtis Rourke to play really, really confidently, and it's allowed him to see the field. This offensive line has not allowed a ton of sacks, and they're going to face a really talented group in Notre Dame, so that's going to be a challenge, but this is a group that has the ability to step up and play big. You also have to stop the run. Notre Dame is a really good rushing team. They're 10th right now in yards per game on the ground, and they have a good group of running backs and that quarterback in Riley Leonard. You're going to have guys that you have to worry about, and so far, Indiana has done a good job of being physical up front, getting that defensive line to win at the line of scrimmage and allow disruptive plays to happen. We've seen guys like Mikhail Kamara, James Carpenter, and we'll just dive into the players to watch. The defense is really fun because Mikhail Kamara is someone who comes in a lot. We're really just going to talk about mostly James Madison players that followed Cignetti there. Mikhail Kamara, James Carpenter, Aiden Fisher, D'Angelo Pons. These are guys, just some of the guys. Elijah Surratt on offense. You have a number of guys that came from James Madison, and there were some major questions about, can you translate Sun Belt success to the Big Ten? There were a lot of questions about if this group had what it takes to win a football game or more. Win 11 games was definitely not in the question, but when they came here, a lot of people doubted what they could do. And these are really talented players at the Sun Belt level that have shown that, hey, we can play at any level. And Mikhail Kamara, James Carpenter are two undersized players that have shown that it doesn't matter who we play. We're going to be able to take it to them, and we're going to find ways to be successful. Aiden Fisher has been really exciting to watch. That was a huge get for Cignetti. I know that he had a bunch of offers in the transfer portal. D'Angelo Pon's kind of the same thing. Undersized player who had options but followed his coach to Indiana. The offense also is going to face a really talented defense. Curtis Rourke obviously has to take care of the football, and he's done that really well this year. 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You know, the rushing attack has been really fun. Justice Ellison has stepped up as kind of the go-to guy. He's been really fun to watch. And we talked about Elijah Surratt. He has been a big-time playmaker, 18.2 yards per catch. He is someone that is going to present a lot of challenges for this Notre Dame defense. So it'll be fun to see how they get these guys involved and what kind of looks they give defensively to confuse this Notre Dame team. And this is an Indiana team that plays really well together. A lot of that has to do with the core of guys that they brought in from James Madison. But a lot of these guys are, when you look at, we talked about Curtis Rourke. He came from Ohio. We talked about the James Madison group. That's a group that was overlooked most of their careers. Justice Ellison went to Wake Forest. Nobody really knew who he was. There's a lot of guys on this team that are kind of overlooked, and that's something they bring to the table. They play with a chip on their shoulder, and that's something that is going to get them far, but they also have to execute, and Cignetti knows that. He is preaching that you have to execute. Obviously, like I said, you can tell that their practices are difficult with how they play on Saturdays. You also know that they embrace the underdog role. They know what is expected of them, and they're looking to exceed those expectations. The players they have to keep an eye out for, and there's plenty of them for Notre Dame. That's how good Notre Dame is. But the first guy is Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love has been playing extremely well as of late. He has been a steadying force for this offense, and we've seen some incredible plays from him. He is someone who can make you look ridiculous if you're not careful, and he is looking to get over 1,000 yards on the season. 15 touchdowns. He's averaging 7.1 yards per carry. That is the definition of explosive and something that Indiana knows they have to stop. He is one of the players they have circled in their scouting report, and how you are able to slow him down probably dictates a lot about how successful you are. Riley Leonard, again, I think if you're Indiana, you're going to try to stop the run as much as possible and make Riley Leonard beat you with his arm. There has not been enough shown by Notre Dame this year that shows, hey, this passing attack is something you really need to worry about. So if you're Indiana, you're basically daring Notre Dame to beat you through the air. And that's definitely a good strategy if that's what they choose. And Riley Leonard is going to have to show that he can do that. Bo Collins is a big-time, a big frame player at wide receiver, and he'll be a challenge for these Indiana cornerbacks, these defensive backs guarding him. But again, if you're stopping the run and Riley Leonard is not comfortable, you don't necessarily worry as much about what Notre Dame can do through the air. The defense for Notre Dame is where things get really interesting. Again, you have some James Madison guys. You have a bunch of underrated guys that are on the defensive or offensive line for Indiana. They're facing some really explosive players up front for Notre Dame. Riley Mills is having a really good year. Jack Kaiser is a veteran. Xavier Watts on the back end is someone to keep an eye on. I'm really curious how Indiana's offense will manipulate Xavier Watts and how they help Curtis Rourke kind of avoid throwing in his area, or if they do challenge him. He's a guy who is a ball hawk. He's a proven player who can get the ball back to his offense. How do they kind of attack him? Do they stay away from him, or do they go right at him? That's going to be something that I'm curious to see. My gut tells me that they're just going to go right at him. They're not going to really be worried about him. I think that they have the confidence that they have practiced enough where they know what they're getting. They're going to go right at him and see what happens. This is going to be a fun game. I think Indiana still has a lot to prove, and this is a really good matchup for them. I think that they're capable of winning this game, and it'll be fun to see what they have in store for their first playoff appearance and how they're able to pull off a win on the road.